It was a cold October morning in Atlanta, Georgia. Emma Carter stood quietly on the front porch of the only house that had ever truly felt like home. The maple tree in the front yard had already begun to lose its bright red leaves, covering the walkway with a blanket of autumn colors. She held a bouquet of fresh white lilies against her chest and stared at the old wooden door. 3 days had passed since her mother, Margaret Carter, took her final breath. The silence inside the house felt heavier than anything Emma had ever experienced. For 6 years, she had sacrificed her career, her savings, and nearly every dream she once had to care for the woman who had spent her entire life caring for everyone else. Not once did Emma complain. She believed family wasn't measured by words, but by the sacrifices people were willing to make when life became difficult. Now, for the first time in years, there was no voice calling her name from inside the house, and no footsteps, and no laughter, and no gentle reminder to lock the back door before bedtime. There was only silence. Emma slowly unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The familiar scent of cinnamon candles still lingered in the air. The grandfather clock in the hallway continued ticking as though nothing had changed. Family photographs covered the walls. There was one of Emma graduating nursing school. Another showed Jason holding a baseball trophy at 16. A wedding picture of their parents hung above the fireplace, long before cancer took their father away 22 years earlier. Emma smiled through her tears as she gently touched the frame. "I hope you're both together again," she whispered. The living room remained exactly as it had been before Margaret passed away. Her favorite rocking chair faced the fireplace. A half-finished knitting project rested beside it. A pair of reading glasses lay open on the small wooden table. Everything looked normal, except the one person who made this house feel alive was gone forever. Emma sat beside the chair and closed her eyes. She remembered countless nights sleeping on the couch because her mother would wake up frightened, unable to remember where she was. Alzheimer's had slowly stolen Margaret's memories, but it never stole her love. Even during her worst days, she would hold Emma's hand and whisper, "You're my good girl." Emma wiped another tear from her face when footsteps approached from behind. Her daughter, Sophia, walked into the room carrying 2 cups of coffee. She quietly handed one to her mother. "You need something warm," she said softly. Emma accepted the cup with trembling hands. "Thank you." Sophia sat beside her. "Grandma always told me you never took care of yourself." Emma forced a small smile. She wasn't wrong. Sophia looked around the room. "It's strange that she's gone, but somehow it still feels like she's here." Emma nodded. "Some people leave love behind so strong that it never really disappears." A loud car door slammed outside. Both women looked toward the front window. An expensive black SUV had parked in the driveway. Emma immediately recognized it. "Jason," she said quietly. Sophia sighed. "He's finally here." Emma checked the clock. It was nearly noon. Her mother's funeral had been 3 days earlier, and Jason had left less than 2 hours after the service, saying he had important business meetings in Chicago. Today was the first time he had returned. The front door opened without knocking. Jason Carter walked inside wearing an expensive navy blue suit, a gold watch, and polished leather shoes. He removed his sunglasses and looked around the room without saying a word. "Hey," he finally muttered. Emma stood. "Hi, Jason." He gave his sister a brief hug before stepping back. "How are you holding up?" Emma looked at him quietly. "I'm surviving." Jason nodded as though that answer satisfied him. He glanced toward the rocking chair. "Still can't believe she's gone." His voice sounded almost rehearsed, as if he had practiced those words during the drive. Sophia watched him carefully. She barely knew her uncle. During the last 8 years he had visited fewer than 10 times. Most holidays ended with a phone call instead of a visit. He always blamed work, travel, or meetings. Sometimes he promised to come next weekend, but next weekend never came. Emma never spoke badly about her brother in front of Sophia. She always believed people deserved chances to become better. Jason walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. "There's barely any food here," Emma replied calmly. "I've been busy planning the funeral." He shrugged. "I'll order something later." Then his eyes landed on a stack of medical bills sitting on the counter. "These still unpaid?" Emma answered. "Most of them, yes." Jason didn't respond, he simply placed the papers back exactly where they had been. After several minutes of uncomfortable silence, Jason cleared his throat. Olivia called me this morning. Emma looked up. The lawyer. Jason nodded. The will is being read tomorrow afternoon. Emma slowly nodded. She had almost forgotten about the appointment. Honestly, she hadn't cared. Her mother never had much money. The house was old. The savings were mostly spent on medical treatments. Emma expected nothing. She never cared about inheritance. She already believed she had received the greatest gift possible. 6 more years with her mother. Jason leaned against the kitchen counter. Mom probably divided everything equally. Emma quietly replied. Whatever she wanted is fine with me. Jason smiled slightly. Good. Because arguments over money destroy families. Emma looked directly into his eyes. Families are destroyed long before money gets involved. For the first time, Jason looked uncomfortable. He changed the subject almost immediately. The next afternoon, Emma, Sophia, and Jason arrived at Olivia Brooks' law office in downtown Atlanta. The building overlooks Centennial Olympic Park, but none of them noticed the view. The air inside the conference room felt heavy. Olivia placed a thick brown folder on the polished oak table and adjusted her glasses. First of all, she said softly, I'm truly sorry for your loss. Your mother was one of the kindest women I've ever known. Emma thanked her quietly while Jason impatiently glanced at his watch. Olivia opened the folder. Margaret Carter updated her will 18 months ago. She was very clear about her wishes. Emma folded her hands in her lap. She expected little more than family photographs and a few personal belongings. Jason leaned forward confidently, already imagining how everything would be divided. Olivia began reading. To my granddaughter Sophia, I leave my wedding ring and every handwritten recipe book I created over the years. I hope one day you cook these meals for your own family. Sophia immediately wiped away tears. She remembered baking cookies beside her grandmother every Christmas. Olivia continued. To my son Jason Carter, I leave my father's gold pocket watch and $20,000 from my remaining savings. Jason nodded with a satisfied smile. Then Olivia paused before reading the final page. To my daughter Emma Carter, I leave my home on Willow Creek Road, along with everything inside it, because she gave me the greatest gift any mother could ever receive. She gave me her time, her love, and 6 years of her life without expecting anything in return. Emma froze. She hadn't expected the house. Her eyes filled with tears. Jason's smile disappeared. What? He said sharply. Olivia calmly placed the document on the table. Your mother left the house solely to Emma. Jason immediately stood up. That's impossible. It is clearly written here. No. My mother promised that house belonged to both of us. Olivia remained calm. This is the legally signed and witnessed will. Jason reached into his briefcase. Then explain this. He placed another folder on the table. Inside was a property transfer document. According to the papers, Margaret had supposedly signed ownership of the house over to Jason 6 months earlier. Emma stared at the signature. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Olivia examined the document for nearly a minute. Her expression slowly changed. Where did you get this? Jason answered without hesitation. Mom signed it herself. Emma looked directly at him. She couldn't even write her own name 6 months ago. The room became completely silent. Olivia slowly removed her glasses. I'll need to verify this document before anything can happen. Jason crossed his arms. Fine. Emma couldn't stop looking at the signature. It resembled her mother's handwriting, but it didn't feel real. After the meeting ended, Emma walked outside in complete disbelief. Sophia followed closely behind. Mom! Emma stopped beside a bench. I know Grandma didn't sign that. Sophia nodded. I know. Emma looked back toward the office windows. But if someone forged her signature... She couldn't even finish the sentence. That evening, Emma returned to the old house. She wandered through every room, remembering birthdays, Christmas mornings, and quiet evenings spent caring for her mother. As she entered Margaret's bedroom, something caught her attention. One floorboard beside the bed looked slightly raised. Emma knelt down and gently lifted it. Hidden beneath the floor was a small wooden box wrapped in an old blue scarf. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a leather journal, a silver key, and a sealed envelope. Across the front of the envelope, her mother's handwriting read, "For Emma. Only if something happens to me." Emma slowly broke the seal. The first line made her heart stop. "If Jason ever claims this house isn't yours, he's lying." Emma looked up in shock. Her mother had known. She had seen something coming before anyone else. Emma sat on the edge of her mother's bed for several minutes before she found the strength to continue reading the letter. Her hands were shaking so badly that she almost dropped the pages. The room was completely silent except for the ticking of the old wall clock that Margaret had owned for more than 30 years. The first sentence replayed over and over inside Emma's mind. "If Jason ever claims this house isn't yours, he's lying." She swallowed hard and continued reading. "My dear Emma, if you're reading this, I'm no longer with you. I prayed this letter would never become necessary, but I know my son better than he knows himself. I love Jason with all my heart, but over the past few years he has changed. Money became more important than family. I never wanted you to carry this burden while I was alive, so I stayed quiet. I hoped he would change. Unfortunately, I don't believe he did." Emma wiped away another tear. "The silver key inside this box belongs to my safety deposit box at First Georgia Bank. Inside, you'll find documents that prove exactly what I wanted after my death. If anyone questions my wishes, those papers will protect you. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but remember one thing: the truth always survives longer than lies." Emma closed the letter and looked at Sophia. "Grandma knew." Sophia nodded slowly. "Then tomorrow morning we're going to that bank." The next morning, the sun had barely risen when Emma and Sophia arrived at First Georgia Bank. A manager escorted them into a secure vault. After verifying Emma's identity, he unlocked a small metal box and quietly stepped outside. Emma took a deep breath before opening it. Inside were several neatly organized documents, old family photographs, a flash drive, and another sealed envelope. Sophia picked up the flash drive. "What's on this?" Emma didn't know. She opened the second envelope. Inside was a notarized statement signed by Margaret just 4 months before her death. The statement clearly declared that Emma alone would inherit the house because she had devoted years caring for her mother, while Jason had repeatedly refused to help. Emma stared at the page in disbelief. There was also a receipt showing Margaret had reported concerns about someone attempting to pressure her into signing financial documents. Sophia whispered, "Mom, this changes everything." Emma slowly nodded. "It might." Back at home, Sophia inserted the flash drive into her laptop. A video appeared on the screen. Margaret sat comfortably in her favorite rocking chair. She smiled gently into the camera. "If you're watching this," she began, "then I guess I'm finally home with your father." Emma immediately burst into tears. Margaret continued speaking. "Emma, thank you for giving up your life to care for me. You never once complained. Not even on the days I forgot your name." Sophia covered her mouth. Margaret's smile slowly faded. "And Jason, if you're watching this too, I want you to know I still love you. But if you've tried taking this house away from your sister, you've made the biggest mistake of your life. Because this home belongs to Emma. I made that decision with a clear mind in front of witnesses and no one forced me." The video ended. Silence filled the room. Emma realized she finally had proof. Not just papers. Her mother's own words. For the first time since the funeral, she felt hope. 3 days later, Emma and Sophia walked into the Fulton County Courthouse carrying the documents from the bank, the notarized statement, and the flash drive. Jason was already there with 2 expensive attorneys. He looked confident, almost amused, as if the outcome had already been decided. When Emma entered the courtroom, their eyes met for only a second before either of them spoke. The judge entered and everyone stood. Judge Rebecca Collins carefully reviewed both sides' evidence. For nearly 2 hours, the attorneys argued over signatures, property records, and legal procedures. Jason's lawyer insisted the transfer document was authentic and claimed Margaret had changed her mind after writing her will. Emma's attorney, Olivia Brooks, remained calm. She waited until the right moment before placing the sealed bank documents on the evidence table. "Your Honor," Olivia said, "these documents were found inside Margaret Carter's safety deposit box. They include a notarized declaration, a written statement explaining why the house was left solely to Emma Carter, and one additional piece of evidence." She handed the flash drive to the court clerk. The courtroom lights dimmed. Margaret appeared on the large screen. Her gentle smile filled the silent room. "If you're watching this, I'm no longer here," she began. "I made this recording because I feared someone might ignore my final wishes." Jason's confident expression slowly disappeared. Margaret continued, "I love both of my children, but Emma gave up 6 years of her life to care for me. She never asked for money, she never expected anything in return. This house belongs to her. If anyone presents another document claiming otherwise, it was never signed willingly by me." The courtroom remained silent after the video ended. Judge Collins looked directly at Jason. "Mr. Carter, do you still maintain your claim?" Jason hesitated. His attorney whispered something into his ear. For the first time, Jason lowered his head. The judge ordered a forensic handwriting expert to examine both signatures. 2 weeks later, the report arrived. The signature on Jason's property transfer document had been forged. Even worse, the investigation revealed the document had been prepared by a private consultant Jason had hired months before Margaret died. The evidence was undeniable. Judge Collins struck the gavel. "This court declares the forged property transfer null and void. The home located on Willow Creek Road legally belongs to Emma Carter according to Margaret Carter's valid will. Furthermore, this matter is referred for criminal investigation regarding document fraud." Jason closed his eyes. Everything was over. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered around the family. But Emma refused every interview. She didn't want revenge. She only wanted peace. Several weeks later, Jason appeared at Emma's front door. He looked completely different. No expensive suit. No luxury watch. No confidence. Only regret. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Emma remained silent. "I became someone Mom would never recognize." Tears filled Jason's eyes. "I can't change what I did. But I'm asking for one chance to earn your forgiveness." Emma looked toward the old maple tree their father had planted decades earlier. Her mother had always believed forgiveness healed the person giving it as much as the person receiving it. After a long silence, Emma quietly answered, "I forgive you, but trust has to be rebuilt." Jason nodded. "I understand." Months later, the Carter family gathered inside the same house for Thanksgiving. Children laughed in the kitchen. Sophia cooked from Margaret's handwritten recipe book. Jason helped set the table without being asked. Above the fireplace hung a framed photograph of Margaret smiling beside her family. Beneath it was a small wooden plaque with one simple sentence,